Well, howdy. I'm super glad you can make it. So today, we're gonna get you set up with your character for my upcoming campaign. As we know, I'm gonna talk you through some of my philosophies as a dungeon master and kind of let you know what to expect. But I'm really excited to be DMing this game for you. I'm excited to be doing this. I'm looking forward to it, you know? So before we get started, before we really dig into things, do you have any particular questions you want to ask? Okay, yeah. So I do have a general setting in mind, but this is already diving a little bit into my DMing style. Is I want to kind of operate in a collaborative sense with my players, with what you all want, what you're trying to get out of it. We'll be having a proper session 0 soon where we can discuss exactly what we're all hoping for. I think that a session 0 is super important. But I wanted to have this one-on-one with you, and I'm having a kind of one-on-one with each of my players before then to discuss who you want your character to be and where you want to go. Obviously, if you aren't feeling confident with your ideas, then we can work on the world building more first and see if we can find a place that you want to sit within it. But the reason I don't want to talk about that too much just yet is because I want you to be able to take any idea that you want, any character concept, any race, any class, anything, right? I want you to be able to take that idea and share it with me. And then it's my job as your DM to make it work. Okay? So on the subject, we're going to start off with choosing your race. Huge amount of options to choose from. I'm sure you're familiar. But as far as, you know, some of the common races, we of course have humans, elves, dwarves, halflings. We have tieflings and Aasimar and dragonborn if you want to get a little bit more spicy with it. And then of course you can really push things a little bit if you want. If you want to play the fairy race, that's a personal favorite of mine. I like trying to find excuses to play those in other people's games. If you want to be a genasi, like a half elemental, you're more than welcome to. We are going to be starting this campaign at level 1, just so you're aware. This is another controversial thing. I know a lot of people prefer to start at higher levels. I'm actually one of those a lot of the time. I start most of my campaigns at level 3, but with this campaign, we have a couple players who are very new to Dungeons & Dragons, and I do think that the lower levels are one of the best learning opportunities for new players. I find if you start at a higher level, newer players can feel overwhelmed by choices. And so starting at a lower level and then easing them into that can be useful. So, okay. Yeah, no, I can totally make that fit in super easily to the setting that I kind of have planned. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You can totally play that. Sure thing. I'm just gonna record this. I'm always a fan of pencil and paper. Like, I do a lot of stuff digitally these days, but like, there's something about writing on a sheet. It's just so satisfying. Okay, so next up, Super straightforward. We're going to pick your class, okay? Again, you can pick basically any class you want. If you're thinking about homebrew, I'm not totally opposed to that, but you are going to have to run it by me because I want to make sure that we don't have any party member that has, you know, unfair advantages over the others. This is a collaborative game, obviously, but we want to make sure that every player feels like they have a role to play and that they have something they can do. What classes are other people playing? Well, ain't that the question? Now, it's what I'm willing to answer for you if you really want me to. But I would ask that you try not to let that impact the character you build. Like, for example, if you do want to know, I'll tell you. But if, say, for example, you notice, oh, we don't have a cleric, or we don't have any kind of healing, supportive class in the party, I don't want you to feel obligated to take that role. Okay? You are welcome to do it if you want, but your character should be the choice that you make, right? I, as a dungeon master, should be capable of balancing the campaign and balancing encounters based off of the composition you have. You could be all bards, and I will work with that, okay? If you don't have a dedicated healer, then I, as the dungeon master, am going to make sure that potions that can heal you will be abundant compared to if you did have someone who could fill that role. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to have fun just as much as you are, but my role in this is to do what I can to work with you, to tell a story and to make things fun for all of us. And so you can play whatever class you want. And it doesn't matter if there are duplicates or doubles or anything like that. I can work with it. You want to play a ranger, huh? Okay. You want to play a Fey Wanderer Ranger. Well, when we get to level 3, we can absolutely do that. I think that Fey Wanderers can tell really interesting stories, personally. I can, I hope that my name is not influencing this decision. But I always love playing with Fey stuff in my campaigns. And I think Fey Wanderers provide a really excellent opportunity to do that. I had a UNT Fey Wanderer character at one point. She was fun. She was a heartless monster who a particular Fey cursed with empathy, and suddenly she regretted everything she'd ever done before then. Now, of course, this is something that I take issue with in D&D's core world building, is the idea of certain races being inherently evil or more inclined to it. There's a goblin camp in the woods. We must get rid of them because goblins are bad. It's like, well, why are goblins bad? Who said that? Who decided that? I think it's much more interesting when it's more of a cultural thing. where it's like with my UNT character, for example. Canonically in D&D lore, UNT don't feel emotion, and I think that's dumb. But in this campaign, it was flavored more that UNT culture discourages the expression of those feelings. It encourages a behavior because it's the remnants of this former fascistic empire. And so they are culturally indoctrinated into this idea of superiority and of rationality over feeling. And so in truth, the Fae did not curse her with empathy. She already had empathy and was already feeling some of it. It's more that she was cursed with the inability to pretend otherwise. That was a fun character. Fae Wanderers are great. Fae stuff is great. I'm absolutely down to tell a fun story involving that with you. We're going to move right along. We can mark down your starting abilities. You're a level 1 ranger, so you're going to have a favorite enemy. You're going to have some spells. We can go through those in a bit. You're also going to, of course, have weapon mastery, which means that you're going to pick 2 weapons that you have proficiency with, and you're going to gain the ability to use the special properties of those weapons. So that's neat. You can also switch it out on a long rest, so you can be nice and versatile. Moving on, we're gonna start to determine your ability scores. Now, I have issues with a lot of the ways that ability scores are often calculated. Today, we're going to be rolling some dice, but it's tricky, right? Rolling dice for your ability scores can lead to a lot of swinginess in your character creation. You can end up with someone who's bad at everything or great at everything. And that's just not super fun, is it? You can also, if you do like point buy, it really encourages a very min-maxy way of building your character, which is also not super fun. I think it's better. And I think it's especially nice that you can deliberately give your character a flaw. The book can recommend just choosing like 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8, and then just assigning those to your abilities. I think, to me, I really enjoy making characters that are good at certain things and very bad at others. And doing that deliberately and intelligently with the story that I want to tell, I made a noble character once who was unfamiliar with adventuring and traveling and who was not super enthusiastic to be doing so. And so she had a very high charisma score and a fairly high intelligence as well. She was very well read, but pitiful wisdom, as well as pretty low strength and constitution. Because, again, she was this sheltered noble who was now thrust into this world of adventuring. She's not going to have the kind of stamina or endurance that you'd expect. She's not going to be strong. And even if she is, she's not really inclined to use that strength. That's not her role. She's not a laborer. How dare you imply such a thing? But because I want to use some clack clack rocks, we are going to be rolling for your stats today. We're going to be rolling 4d6 and dropping the lowest. Once we have rolled 6 stats, we can apply those to your various ability scores. All right. First roll. Jesus Christ. Okay. 46, dropping the lowest. That is a 17 on that first ability score. 6, 6, and 5. Okay. Well, we're off to a great start, aren't we? Next up. Okay. We have 4, 5, and 3. I'm great at math. That's a 12. All right. Just going to mark that. Next up. Four, 4, 6. That is a 14. You're having a pretty favorable stat spread, I must say. 14 there. And of course, you'll have your racial modifier as well. Actually, I think D&D doesn't use built-in racial modifiers anymore, does it? They just let you assign the bonuses yourself. That was a change, wasn't it? Well, in any case, roll number 4. Okay. That is exactly 10. I think this marker might be running out of ink. Oh well. Yeah, I'm using a marker. Don't judge me. It's the writing utensil I had on hand. That's another 17. I'm not... I'm just rolling the numbers. Okay. You have 2 17s to work with. See, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to rolling your stats like this. 2 17s, a 14, a 12, and a 10. Last roll. What do we got? 5, 6, 3. That's another 14. Okay, so no negative stats. No negative stats. Well then, I'm gonna guess probably 17 in wisdom, and then another 17 in either strength or dexterity, 14 into whichever of those you don't do. That's a crazy talented ranger, honestly. Oh no. Okay. Would you like to play D&D too? Yeah? You want to roll a character? Yeah? What class do you want to play? Huh? What class do you want to play, bud? I think my dear son would probably play... Yeah, you would play a barbarian, wouldn't you? Yeah, because you're so big and strong and violent, aren't you? Okay. Well, he's going to sit on his little shelf while we finish making your character, all right? Oh, or he's going to... It was a nice visit. It was a very nice visit, young man. Okay. Well, we'll have to work on... maybe he could be an animal companion for someone. That could be fun. Just put him in the game. Put that cat in the game. Okay. So, now that we have rolled your ability scores, the next thing to worry about is equipment. So, We are going to start with getting you some gear. We're probably just going to let's see. I mean, we could do money if you want to spend some cash on your starting gear, or we could start with just the basic equipment that you get by default. Either one's fine. It's fully your choice. As a ranger, let me just double check what rangers are going to start with. Oof. Okay. So as a ranger, you are going to start with either a studded leather armor, a scimitar, a short sword, a longbow with 20 arrows, a quiver, a druidic focus, that's for spell casting, and an explorer's pack, which contains a backpack, bedroll, 2 flasks of oil, 10 days of rations, rope, tinderbox, 10 torches, and a water skin. Now, this is also coming into one of the slightly more controversial things when it comes to DMing a game, which is rations and encumbrance. Not everyone likes those. Some people prefer it to be a little less real and a little more gamey. For me, I want to immerse you in a world, and I think that especially if we're going to have a ranger in the party, one of the places that a ranger really shines and gets to really use a lot of the core components of their class is in wilderness survival. If you don't need to eat, then there's no need to hunt or to forage or to use the survival skill really at all. The use becomes incredibly niche. Similarly, if you can carry a ton, rations aren't expensive, right? And so if you have no limit to your carry weight, then again, that makes it so that the ranger doesn't have that use anymore. You can load as many rations and as many different tools as you want. So for this campaign, I'm thinking we're probably going to be including rations and general survival stuff, carry weights, travel times. If you want to be carrying a bunch of stuff, maybe buy a cart and a donkey. Just because I think that can be interesting. I don't want it to be too intrusive on the game as a whole, but I do want it to be a relevant concern. I do want it to be something that our characters should be thinking about. One of the things that I do as a dungeon master, that I've always done as a dungeon master, is I want to encourage you to be creative, to come up with creative solutions to the problems that I present. I want you to play smart as much as you can. And so I'm saying this outright beforehand because I don't want you to be surprised. But gathering information about a situation before you jump straight into it is always going to be encouraged. And doing more than just the abilities listed on your sheet is always going to be encouraged. The way I typically balance combat encounters when there are combat encounters is I will play the encounter myself, and I will play the enemies as intelligently as I can, and I will play the player characters using all of the kit that is listed on their sheet, all of the abilities built fundamentally into their class. And I will play that encounter myself until I reach the point where I'm more likely to lose the encounter as the players than to win it. And the reason I personally do that is so that you, as the player, kind of know going in that you have to be smart. You maybe scout the area beforehand and prepare an ambush. You use the environment. You use the items and tools that you have in creative ways. If you say you want to do something, I want to use the rules and systems that we have to facilitate you doing so. So just because something's not written on your sheet, if you have an idea and you want to try it, I will do my best to make that happen. And it is by playing in a creative way like that that you're going to be succeeding in these encounters. And that's my philosophy for survival and for everything. If you have an idea that's really smart, maybe I'll waive the dice roll entirely. If you are playing with thought and with intention, that's really the goal for me. I want you to immerse yourself in this world and to think about things very carefully. Because I want there to be tension. I want there to be stakes. I'm not going to fudge a dice roll in either direction. That's something I never do as a DM. Never have. Never will. I have had games where, the big bad of maybe the last couple sessions gets obliterated in 2 rounds because the players planned ahead so thoroughly. That's fine. That's rewarding. You, I mean, you get to be rewarded for thinking and for planning. And I've also had times where things have gone very wrong for the party. I'm very rarely going to TPK people, if I can help it. But I have had parties get wiped before, and when that happens, well, if I can find an excuse for it, I'll say like, oh, you're locked up somewhere, or something else of consequences happened. I've had player deaths. That happens, But I always want you to feel like your choices have impact, that the decisions you're making are important. So, anyways, having said all of that, do you want to start with the standard starting equipment, or do you want to go with the gold total? Gold? Okay. Then yeah, 150 GP. If you want to take some time to look through the player's handbook and then come back to me with like a shopping list of the things you want to get, that's super cool with me. And with all of that in mind, I think we have the rough idea for your character setup. If you want to start brainstorming ideas of who your character is, what's going on with them, where you want the story to go, I would be happy to hear it. If you have ideas right now, or if you want to take some time. One thing that I always like to ask when I'm creating a character is, what is wrong with them? It's always, what is this character's biggest flaw? And how can we tell a story that maybe causes some growth? You know? Like with that noble character, it was she thinks she's better than everyone. She is not willing to get her hands dirty. She has no interest in being here or in helping anyone other than herself. But over the course of the campaign, we see her grow more as a person and become more attached, especially to her party members, and become willing to, you know, get down in the muck for their sake. And so I want you to think about that question. Think about the question of who is my character? What is wrong with them? And whatever answer you come to, feel free to text me or we can talk about it more in the session 0. If you want to know more about the lore and the world, you can reach out and ask about that too. I do already have some ideas, but I want the world building to be somewhat collaborative with you all, because I want to build a world that can facilitate the stories that you're all hoping to tell. So with that, I'd say we are just about done. If you want to, I ordered a pizza, so, we can munch on that and maybe hang out for an hour or two before you head out. It's super nice to have you over. I'm really looking forward to this campaign.